Hello, and welcome to the episode 3 of the Spicy Homemaker podcast. My name is Melissa, and this is a podcast about knitting and creative living. You can find me on Ravelry as Spicy Homemaker and also on YouTube as Spicy Homemaker. Hello, welcome. Today is October 25th. It's a Sunday, 2015. I have been so anxious to record this, so anxious in fact that I got to record it 3 different times. We're on my 3rd time. There's little gremlins in my camera lately. This time it's gonna work. So anyways, this is my Rhinebeck episode. There's going to be mostly about, this will be mostly about Rhinebeck. There will be some works in progress, some FOs. Haha, the monkey is done, people. It's done. And there's also going to be spinning. That's a new addition. So mostly about Rhinebeck though, and just a warning, it's going to be a bit of a gush fest too. There's a lot of thank yous I have, starting with you guys. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate every single one of you. I know a lot of you found me through the shout outs this week, so I definitely want to thank each one of them, but I really wish the viewers, I wish I could meet each one of you personally, give you a hug, say hello, say thank you. I'm so humbled that this many people would want to watch my podcast. I am enjoying this so much. There's a lot to learn. I am getting more and more educated on technology from a video recording standpoint, but and it is a huge learning curve, but I'm getting there. So, and the fact that you guys would want to stick with me and keep watching is just makes me happy, makes me smile. And if you're new, thank you for watching. I hope I get to know you guys better. I think, no, I don't think. I am going to start a Ravelry board, a Ravelry group, Spicy Homemaker, because I don't really have a good place to put my show notes. There are none right now, and I don't want to continue to do that. So I am going to start one within the next couple days, and it will be out there for show notes and some other things. I think, no, I don't think. I know I want to do a giveaway. Because it's just the I'm so grateful, thankful giveaway. Because I'm just amazed at how many people have watched this and how many people have subscribed to my YouTube channel. I want to give back. I want to show you how thankful I am. I want to say hi to each of you. So please check me out over on the Ravelry board. Say hello, introduce yourself. And you could say whatever you really want, but I think just, as maybe something to give you a little bit of a prompt, I would love to know if you went to Rhinebeck, was there something you wish you could have purchased but you weren't able to? Or if you didn't go to Rhinebeck, was there something you would have liked to have gotten there, or something that you've heard about, you've always wanted to check out? Put that down if you can. If, like I said, you don't have to, you can just simply say, hi, I'm Susie. Nice to know you. So, let me start out by saying thank you, or I should say the next thank yous to the podcasters, because I got some shout outs this week, and I know most of you found me because of those shout outs. So I want to acknowledge each shout out that I heard of, and let me start out by, I'm going to go in the order that I met them on Rhinebeck weekend. The first one was Kristen from the Wool and Vine. Actually from the Yarngasm podcast. She's the maker and creator of Wool and Vine Yards. And yeah, Kristen, just as a funny note, I was watching a podcast a couple weeks ago, and I cannot remember because it's been 2 weeks already, but someone was doing their Cozy Memories blanket, and they had quite a few colorways they had to name, and there was at least 4 Wool and Vine yarns in there, and I knew every color before she said it. I was naming them. I'm like, oh, fairy hair, myth, there was a couple more, I don't remember what they were, but I named them before she named them, and I was absolutely right on every one of them, and I thought that was kind of funny. But yeah, we love her yarn, don't we? Keep making that yarn, Kristen, because I'm making Ruby Jane a dress and some fairy hair very soon. Kristen, thank you so much for the shout out on your podcast. You said so many nice things, and I am so grateful that you took time to watch my podcast, because I reached out to her early on and said, hey, can you give me some constructive criticism on my podcast? Because she's been doing this for quite a while and she does it very, very well. And she was so nice and gracious and sent an email back, and yeah, and she just had nothing but nice things to say. I was listening to that particular podcast, driving in my van, listening, not watching, listening. And when my name came up, oh my gosh, I got this big goofy grin, kind of probably like I am right now. Got a big goofy grin on my face, and I smiled, I think, the entire episode, because it just made me so happy that that you wanted to say some nice things about my podcast, that you took time to watch it, and I love your podcast. She was also extremely gracious in talking about how we met. So we met, well, first of all, I should say, on Kristen's Ravelry group, I put in something there a while back about some nail polish I saw that reminded me of her. She likes, muted purples and mauves, and this was like a dusky grayish purple. It's this color right here. It's called China Glaze Below Deck. I was going to purchase some for myself regardless. I couldn't find that anywhere local. I have a Beauty Brands, and it's been out for a couple years. It wasn't easy to find. It was on Amazon. My goodness, does Amazon have everything or what? It is my last one-stop shop for everything. So I bought two, and I thought when I meet her that weekend, I was going to give her a gift, which I didn't wrap. I was flying in from Illinois. So I wrapped it very quickly at my friend's house, which means I put it in a small Christmas bag with some tissue paper and no card, I realized later. So, oh my goodness, way more thought went into the gift than the wrapping. Let me just say that. But so we were at the Indie Untangled show, and let me briefly describe what that was like. The Indie Untangled trunk show is kind of like a pre-show or a starting act for Rhinebeck. Just like how when you go to a concert, there's a starting act. It's the Friday before Rhinebeck Festival, Sheep and Wool Festival starts on Saturday morning and goes through Sunday. And Indie Untangled is on Friday night. And it is in Kingston, I believe at the Best Western Hotel. And it's in a conference room. And it has some other indie dyers there. And it's a smaller venue, of course. And my goodness, let me tell you, that place was packed. It was just packed. And great vendors. Oh my goodness, they were so awesome. But I think they could easily go to a bigger venue if they want to next year. I mean, it's knitters, so everyone's great, everyone's awesome, great vibe. But it's packed. It's really packed. But we were done. We saw everything we needed to see in about an hour, and we dragged it out a little bit because I really wanted to see Kristen. But there's only so much time you can spend in one place, especially with a lot of people. And most of us had traveled in that day, so we were a little tired, and we were ready to go. So my friends, there was a group of us, about 8 of us, and they go out to the car, and I take a quick restroom break before I leave. But they're out in the car waiting for me. So, anyways, they're outside waiting for me, and I go walk out of the stall of the bathroom, and guess who's there? Kristen. Totally unexpected, very random. And I'm like, I'm washing my hands, and I say something like, "Oh, hi, I'm Melissa, and I love your podcast." And she's very gracious. After I finish washing my hands, she gives me a hug, and I truly don't know exactly what I said, but I said something like, "Oh, I don't know if you remember the nail polish I posted in your Ravelry board, but here, I thought I'd give you this gift." So I basically say, "Hi, I love your podcast," in the bathroom, throw some nail polish at her, and run out of the bathroom. Now, I'm not a shy person, so it's not because of that. I was feeling rushed because my friends were outside. And, oh goodness, Laura from the Dyer's Notebook walks out of the other stall in the middle of this conversation. And she is another person I wanted to meet. She does Jinx yarns as well. And I didn't even say hi to her. Oh my gosh. This was not my shining moment with people, let me tell you. But I made up for it. I saw her the next day, Laura that is, standing in line for falafel, which is amazing, at Rhinebeck. And I came up and introduced myself properly, apologized for my lack of manners the night before, told her I loved her podcast, told her I bought some of her yarn just recently, love her yarn as well. And just thank you for being so kind and gracious about our meeting on your podcast, Kristen. So, Indie Untangled. Okay, so let me pause right here and just say, this is going to be a little different. Usually I would go through, there's a certain format I would follow, works in progress, FOs, and whatever else at the end. But because there's a lot of talking that I'm going to be doing up front, I'm going to try to sparse out some of this. So let me show you what I bought at the Indie Untangled trunk show. Now, I didn't want to buy too much because, I have Rhinebeck for the remaining portion of the weekend, which is huge if you've never been. I mean, absolutely massive. But I had to buy something. And for whatever reason, and there's no particular reason why, I bought all my stuff from one vendor. And maybe it might have been because of the crowds, I don't know. She was pretty picked over by the time I got to her, but she still had a lot of great stuff left. So the first thing, excuse me. Oh, and by the way, I adore this mug. I just got this not too long ago from Church Mouse Yarn and Tees. It's a sweater, or this is knitted, or it looks like knit stitches, little stockinette with some buttons. I just love this. I think this is so cute. And you know what? Because I've had so many issues recording this podcast, I was double checking to make sure my microphone's on because I can't handle any more technical issues. I just can't. But anyways, it's called The Amy Lee Show Presents Canon Hand Dyes. And her booth caught my eye because she had this great sample knit up of her fall rainbow colorway, which she was out of, and I have to go back and get some whenever she does a shop update because I loved it. It was, I don't know how to describe, muted rainbow, but that's not accurate. Muted rainbow spin, which that might be hard to envision, but if you can look her up, you definitely got to see that. It is amazing, and I have to have some. But instead I got this, which is called Fall Harvest. It's a self-striping. It's on her Oscar Sparkle sock base. It's 75% merino, 20% nylon, and 5% stellina, and it's 425 yards. And she has an Etsy shop called The Amy Lee Show at Etsy.com. And there's her card. I'm realizing with my camera, I don't have to get up real close for things to focus. And while I'm looking at the little screen, it looks like it's so far away. But then when I watch the podcast later, it's really not that far away. However, show notes. This is where show notes come in handy in case something doesn't show up quite right. I will put them in there. But this is autumn in yarn. I mean, it's red, brown, green, red, brown, and green. I think that's it. And there's like the yellow kind of looks somewhat orangish a little bit in a way, but it's got stellina and it's so sparkly, but this will be socks one day. I don't know when. I also got from her, she calls this Polar Opposites. And once again, everything's in the same base, her Oscar Sparkle sock base. Everything I bought from her. There's like one more thing after this. And this is self-striping. And so the idea is you knit a sock out of this color and a sock out of this color, and it's self-striping. This is like pink and turquoise, with pink being the main color. And over here it's mostly turquoise with some pink. And then you've got this coordinating heel and toe mini skein. Now, this is for Ruby. I want to knit her some socks. She's 2. And what I'll probably do is knit 2 of the same socks out of there and 2 out of here. And I'm getting a little distracted because I'm hearing some little boys behind me arguing. And I might have to go try to break that up here in a minute. Hopefully they'll settle down. But anyways, this looked like a lot of fun. It looked super cute. It looked totally sweet. Reminded me of Ruby Jane, and I bought this. And then I bought, and I think, no, I know. Yeah, I'll be right back. All right, I'm back. Sorry about that. Yes. Things have settled down. So let me talk about my favorite yarn from Indie Untangled Trunk Show. That is also from Canon Hand Dyes. This little blue beauty. It's called a Midsummer Night's Dream, the colorway is. And I love it. Love it. It's so rich, so deep, and just, oh my gosh. I don't know what this is going to be yet. I love it. I cannot stop looking at it. I may just set it up on a shelf and look at it for quite a while. I kind of got an idea of something I want to do with it, and I'll show you that a little bit later, but right now I am just so happy looking at it. So I will definitely be buying from this particular vendor again. I really liked everything I bought, and there was stuff that I wanted to buy that she was out of. So that was Indie Untangled. And that brings us to Saturday morning, which was the first day of the Sheep and Wool Festival. And before I get into the rest of the people I met, I'm just going to go with how that day started out. So usually when you go to Rhinebeck, you have a person a vendor or two that you really want to see that's very popular. There's the Mad Rush. And last year I did Miss Babs, which I love her yarn. But I was in line for like 2 hours or something crazy, and I wasn't going to do that this year. I had no desire. Will not do it, not going to do it. And anyways, but I kept hearing about Jenny the Potter over the last 12 months. I don't know what rock I've been hiding under, because I hadn't heard of her until, well, quite a bit more the last 6 months. Maybe it was because of Rhinebeck. I don't know. But I look her up and go to her Etsy shop, and she'd been pretty wiped out. I'm guessing her updates are sold out pretty quickly, but she had some stitch markers in there, and they were beautiful stitch markers, but I thought, this can't be it. This can't be it. I mean, she is very well known, and I know that while her stitch markers are beautiful, it cannot be just for stitch markers. So I Googled her and got her blog, and then I got it. She has some beautiful bowls and mugs, and so Jenny the Potter was where I went this year. That was my first stop. Now, I did wait in line, but they were pretty fast, relatively speaking, and didn't stay too terribly long, I didn't think. You know, at Rhinebeck, part of what makes it so great is that you talk to everybody there. Everybody's so social, and you talk to people in line, you talk to people around you, and Jenny the Potter's line was exactly like that, so it was enjoyable. The wait was not a big deal to me. I bought a few things from her. So this mug is the first thing. It's a little bitty mug. It's like, 3.5, 4 inches tall. And my friend, Amy, who hosted my group, our group, not my group, listen to me. There's a group of us, it was about 8, and we all stayed at her house. She lives like 5 blocks from the fairgrounds. She lives in Rhinebeck, New York. How awesome is that? Hi, Amy. But I bought her a full-size mug that was very similar to this. And then I bought some bicycle buttons. I like bicycles. I have one. I love it. This will probably go on one of Ruby's sweaters. And then I bought some stitch markers too. This is just a few of them, but also bicycle stitch markers. So yeah, that was fun. I was really good on Saturday. I didn't buy hardly anything. In fact, I'm looking around. No. I did buy a little bit more, but that was most of it. Most of the shopping happened on Sunday. That's when I let loose. So a funny story. Before my podcasters meetup, the group of women and I, we had lunch together. We often would go on our own ways looking for certain things. Some of us we'd wander into each other, we'd meet up off and on, but we decided to meet up for lunch. And one of the things I did this year that was making sure that I complimented people when I saw things that I liked. The sweaters, the scarves, the shawls, anybody I saw that I liked what they were wearing, I let them know. Because Leslie from the Knit Girls, she had mentioned that in our podcast, and I thought, she's so right. Sometimes I think the compliments, but I don't say them. And I know how much I appreciate a good, sincere compliment. So, I wanted to do that for others too. And I was really good this year. I had no problem stopping anybody and telling them how much I loved what they were wearing and asking about it. And I think most people really appreciated that. I mean, Rhinebeck's the knitter fashion show, right? I mean, we're out there. We've got hats, scarves, mitts, shawls, sweaters, everything. We'll wear it all. and we're with our people. So sometimes it's a pattern you've seen forever and you never knit it, and then you see, like, that's that pattern. I've been wanting to knit that. That looks amazing. So I was really good about that. However, there was a gentleman that walked by us, and he was wearing orange knitted shorts. I don't know if he made them or someone made them for him, but I'm pretty sure it was a pattern by Stephen West, because I'm almost certain I've seen this pattern before. And he was wearing hiking boots with it and a big brown sweater. Now, Saturday was chilly. It wasn't as cold as Sunday, but it was definitely not short weather. And it made me laugh. I giggled, and the 12-year-old came out at me, and I took out my phone and I took a picture and I posted it to Instagram, and I said something along the lines of, at Rhinebeck, you may see men in knitted shorts. And about an hour later, he responded. He says, "Hey, that's me." And I looked at his profile and it was him. And I thought, oh my gosh, I didn't say anything mean. And I wouldn't have said anything mean. There was nothing mean to say. I mean, a man who could wear orange knit shorts in public and wear them proudly, that's a man with confidence and courage. And there's no judgment here, let me tell you. But I put LOL, aren't you cold? And he responds back, not really, no. And so if you want to see that particular photo, it is on my Instagram feed. But I thought that was funny. It gave me a chuckle. But podcaster meetup. Okay, so that was the next big meetup for me, and actually the only meetup I had. And that's where I got to meet some more people. And the first person I met was Andy from Andre Sue Knits podcast. Hi, Andy. Andy, oh my goodness, thank you so much for giving me the shout out and for the kind, encouraging compliment. I really appreciate it. And I am so glad you were the first person I met, because Andy is so, if you've seen her podcast, she just comes across as very sweet and kind and just very, very likable, and she is exactly like that in person. I mean, when I met her, she was just, it was like I already knew her. It was like we were hanging out in my living room chatting. I was instantly put at ease and felt comfortable. And I'm not a shy person, so I don't have a problem talking to people, but there's those other people who just instantly make you feel at ease. And she is exactly like that. And that is just such an awesome gift to have. And I really enjoyed meeting her, and she's awesome. And yeah, thank you, Andy, for mentioning my podcast. I really appreciate it. And what I was going to say about that is, on her podcast, she was saying how nervous she was, and that when she's nervous, she talks a lot. I would have never guessed she was nervous. I really wouldn't have, because that is not the vibe she gives out. It's just kind, welcoming, and awesome. So the next person I met was Carlene from Made with Carlenergy podcast. She was also nice. So very, very, very nice. She gave me a shout out and said some really nice things about my podcast. Thank you, Carlene. I'm so glad I got to meet you. And that was really cool. She was handing out cards with little bags of tea stapled to them. Really cute. And I don't have it here. I got most of my Rhinebeck stash here, but there's some pieces missing. I know it, and I tried my best to gather it all in one spot, but you'll see what I mean when we go through it. But Carlene and I share not only that we're new podcasters to this year, but we both own birds. She has the Dude, which you can hear in the background of her podcast, and I have 2 birds. In my house, when you turn 7, you get to pick a pet. So my son Ashton, who is now 9, when he was turned 7, he picked a yellow parakeet. We named her Sunshine. It's a girl. And while we were at the breeders looking at the birds, I fell in love with parrotlets. And it's just like it sounds. It's a mini parrot, basically. They're very similar in size to a parakeet. But he's a really pretty green and blue little mini parrot. And if I were to podcast with them, they would be on my head right now, or one of them would be on my shoulder, pecking my hair, my ear. They're very social. I give them kisses all the time. They'll kiss me. They're really cute. And but they're all up in my face, so I don't think that would really work for me. But we also have a cat named Carly who is gray, and Kyland, my oldest son, who is now 13, he picked her out when he turned 7. So we have we used to have a dog before that, Louie, but he passed now. He was old. But we have pets. They haven't made an appearance yet. We'll see what happens in the future with that. But so Carly and I share new podcasting to 2015 and parakeets. So thank you, Carlene, for the nice words. Let's see. Those were the people that I talked to the most at the podcaster meetup, which doesn't seem like much, but I also met Shannon from Minerva Turkey and Amy Beth from the Fat Squirrel Speaks. Both of them were so fun, just like their personalities on the podcast. It's just really nice and sweet and welcoming. But Amy Beth just did a shop update, or you could reserve one of her bags, I think on Friday night. And I am getting my first Fat Squirrel bag, and I am excited. I've never had one of her bags. It'll be a Christmas bag, and I can't wait to show you guys that later. But one of the people I really wanted to meet, and I did not get to meet, was Jenny from Tiny Paper Foxes. And that is not Jenny's fault, because Jenny was at the podcaster meetup. I was at the podcaster meetup. But when I was at the podcaster meetup, I was wandering around a bit spacey because I was looking for another group, the Itty Bitty Knitters of Susan B. Anderson's Ravelry group. They were having a meetup, and I got the time and the place all messed up. I thought they were going to be at the podcaster meetup. They weren't. They were meeting at noon over by the ladies' restroom. I got it all mixed up. But for the entire podcaster meetup, I'm wandering around looking for somebody with the buttons that they were wearing. Clearly, I never found them, but it kept me very, very distracted when I was there. And Jenny said she saw me because she sent me a message later and said, I saw you, but when I went to go say hello, you were already gone. Because eventually I knew I looked a bit ridiculous wandering around and not seeing the people I'm looking for. So I left somewhat early, I guess. Not real early. I didn't stay for a full hour. I probably stayed for a good 20 minutes maybe. But so I left then, missed Jenny entirely. But Jenny, you gave me one of the best shout outs I've ever heard. And I'm so grateful and so humbled by your kindness and your generosity. And I just want to say thank you because, I know a lot of you found me through her. So thank you, thank you, thank you. Her podcast, if some of you have not watched her podcast, you should definitely check it out. It's beautiful. It's a beautiful podcast, and it's so well produced. And we have some nice podcasts in our community for sure. But I would say with the ones that I've watched so far, and I have not watched a ton, she is definitely in the top, if not at the very, very top of our community. It is exceptional. It is just really, really a beautiful podcast. And then of course she's so talented and sweet and kind, and she's so responsive and takes so much time with her viewers and stuff. She responds to everybody in her Ravelry group and on Instagram. She responds to messages. I mean, she's really putting herself out there, and I really admire her. And I just want to say thank you, Jenny. And I know one day we're going to meet. And her and I started about the exact same time on our podcast. So I really just wanted to meet her because, like I said, I feel almost like an instant bond to the new podcasters. We're kind of cheering each other on. And I really like the camaraderie between all of us. So I was bummed that I didn't get to see her. But to round out my Gush Fest, I am going to give a personal shout out. The women that I was with during Rhinebeck weekend there's 10 of us to date. And the group is called the Hooters, which has absolutely nothing to do with any anatomy. We've all met at the Squam Art Fair retreats. And we go in June every year. It's in New Hampshire, and it's a wonderful, wonderful experience. And it's about 10 of us now. And 8 of us went this weekend, and I just want to say thank you, ladies, for a wonderful weekend, and I miss each one of you, and I cannot wait to see each of you again. Okay, Gush Fest is over. Now, let's see what I bought. I hope you're ready. Let me think here. You know what? Let's do an FO. Let's do a finished object first, because yeah, the monkey. We'll start there. I only have one finished object. Jerry the Musical Monkey. It is a pattern by, I believe it's Rebecca Danger. It's Danger Crafts. You can find it on Ravelry, and it is a paid for pattern. I'll show you what it looks like. You can kind of see that a little bit. And it is, excuse me, it is in my projects page on Ravelry. But here he is. This is for my son, Ashton. If you saw my podcast before this, you know the story behind it. And basically it's that I've been knitting this monkey for about 3 years, and he's not hard. He doesn't take a long time. When I knit one for my nephew, it took me a week, and that's knitting it off and on in my, here and there, 20 minutes at a time. So Ashton wanted a monkey, and unfortunately I knit it out of some unfortunate acrylic yarn, and I just did not enjoy the experience whatsoever. I'm very pleased with the finished product, and so is he, and so is Ruby, because Ruby keeps trying to take this from him. But yeah, I think he's cute. I'm proud of him. Ashton loves him. I had to ask to have him back so I could show him to you guys, but there he is. Safety eyes. Yeah, I had to order some more of those. I have some somewhere, but I didn't know where they were. It's been, 3 years ago since I had them, so who knows what I did with them. But there he is, and I don't know if I'll be knitting any monkeys anytime soon. All right. Trying to think the best way to, let's just go into the Rhinebeck stash. Let's do that, because I only have one work in progress. So we'll do the stash, work in progress, and then we'll go on to the spinning. Yep, that's what we're gonna do. So, okay, while I was at Rhinebeck, one of the things I definitely wanted to do was get some really sheepy natural wool. They have tons of them, tons of vendors who do this at Rhinebeck. And so the first one I bought, I don't know if this was the first one or not, but it was near the top, was I bought 100% merino wool. It is DK, 180 yards in each skein. It is from the Greenwood Hill Farm. So my thought was that I was going to make a hat out of this for my husband. And now I don't know, because I ended up coming across the colorway, well, not colorway, the color of wool that I really wanted not too long after I bought this. But this is still, this will find a home somewhere. Not a home, but a project, I'm sure. Maybe mitts, maybe a hat for me. I don't know. So the color that I found for him that I really, really like is this. It's Shetland wool, 3-ply sport, 250 yards each. And this is from the Ross Farm Heritage and Rare Breed Fibers. Now what they do that's kind of neat is they put the picture of the sheep that produced this yarn. And her name is Rose. And this is Rose as well. I like Rose's. Rose, you were the color that I wanted, because it was like kind of reminds me of a vanilla latte in a way, It's creamy, but there's like that little bit of hint of caramel or something in it. Not brown, and almost, yeah, I don't know. This color that you're seeing is very accurate. This is going to be the hat for my husband. This is the color I really wanted, and I always buy 2 skeins almost every single time, because I'm sure one is enough, but I don't like playing yarn chicken. I just don't. I don't do it. And I've never had that problem, I don't think, ever. Which might be why my stash continues to grow as well. I don't know. So, okay, one more sheepy goodness. This is so soft. This is a new to me fiber. Cormo, heard of it, never knit with it. 100% Cormo, and it's from the Fox Hill Farm. It's an Aran weight, and this is just, to me, that 195 yards per skein. This is, to me, the perfect cream. I love this color. I bought 3 skeins of this originally, no plan. I don't know what I'm gonna do with it, but I ended up giving 2 skein. There was 2 of the ladies in our group that didn't get to make it this year, and so we made them up a little box of goodies, you know, Rhinebeck goodness, put it in a box, and we sent it to them, and I gave each of them a skein of this. So there's that. That is all my really truly, like, no kidding, straight from the farm woolly goodness. Okay, next. I'm looking at so much and it's like, where do I go next? Let me show you this. So Sunday was cold. I mean, very cold. And while I had fingerless mitts and a coat and a shawl and a cowl and everything to keep me warm, I didn't have a hat. Major error on my part. So when I went to the main buildings that have like the big ticket items, well, not big ticket items, but some of the really popular people, I went in there on Sunday and there was this woman selling these beautiful felted hats that kind of remind me of something out of the 20s. And it's called Robin's Hoods, hand felted fashion, and she's in Vermont. Now, she doesn't have an Etsy page or anything, but she has a Facebook page, and she does, she'll make them to order. She'll custom make them in anything you want. I might be buying another one from her. And let's see, this is how, let me see. So this is my hat. Oh, goodness. It was like, let me see this again. Hold on. How did I wear this? Like that, but see the pretty flowers on the, I think I had it more to the front, but you get the picture. This is really warm too. Love this hat. It went really well with my coat and what I was wearing that day. And I think I'm gonna have to get one for Ruby because she made one for kids and they were adorable. She had some really cute pink ones, some blue ones, and all different kinds of decorations and stuff. So I got her a card and I will probably be looking her up in the future. So the next one, now while I go here, go to Rhinebeck when I go, I've been twice now, listen to it, like I'm a seasoned Rhinebeck traveler or something, not really, but I really like to buy stuff that is off the beaten path. I don't want to buy, which is why I bought all the sheepy woolly goodness yarn, but I had to buy this particular yarn because I've never knit with it. Everybody talks about socks that rock. I've never done it. Blue Moon Fibers. So I bought some. Not only did I buy some, I bought 4 skeins of it. So here's Socks That Rock, and this is called Silky, and they're 81% superwash merino, 19% silk. Interesting. I don't think I've ever seen that particular combination before. But it's 3.5 ounces or 99 grams, 360 yards or 329 meters. 2 different colors. This one's Fall Frolic, and this one is, it's a supernatural thing. So, and it's a supernatural thing. Let's see, what do we got? We got some yellows and some pinks and purples and blues and grays, and oh my goodness, there's a lot going on in this yarn. And it hasn't told me what it wants to be when it grows up, but I am sure that I will discover it. Till then, stash it and just watch it, look at it, pet it. This one though, I believe I'm gonna make some Rose City rollers for my mother-in-law. She requested some short booty-like socks, and so I thought this would be a fun one to knit up for her. This has got, oh gosh, just very rich, deep reddish browns and yellows and a little bit of green and aqua, everything that you're seeing. My camera is pretty good at giving, displaying accurate colors. So there's that. I'm making a really tall pile of yarn over here. I think I should probably start putting it on the ground or it's gonna fall soon. But, oh, and then 2 other skeins. And these are still Socks That Rocks, but it's their lightweight, 100% superwash merino. And it's, this is 405 yards. And this is called English Garden Memories. And this one's called Madeline May Tipsy. So English Garden Memories. I love this. This reminds me of springtime and very much of an English garden. I mean, there's just some different shades of green and some aqua. There's a little bit of grayish purples in here. Then you've got these vibrant pinks and purples at the tops. I mean, it's just very, very pretty. Don't have a plan for it, but this one is definitely mine. I do know that, and I'm nearly certain it's going to become socks for me. And I don't know why, but I am really drawn to white, a main white colorway with just this like splash of color in it. There's more going on at the bottom, but yeah, it's just a hint of a, let's see there, like a blue and a purple. It's a muted blue and purple here, more like a muted turquoise. But I like this. That's gonna be socks for me one day. All right, we're getting down to the bottom. And I should just tell you, what's sitting behind me is stuff. Let's see, there's some yarn there. There's some yarn behind the monkey, and there's 2 kits. That was what I bought before Rhinebeck. I need to stop buying so much yarn for just a little while. I'm not going to go on a yarn diet, but I think I've got plenty to look at and pet for a little while. One of my next places that I went to, well, you know what? I'll save this last bit of yarn to show you a couple of non-yarn things that I got. I went and bought from the woodmaker, who is called Chester P. Basils. Got this cute little wooden spoon that I'm going to put in my coffee container that I scoop my coffee out to make in the morning. Mixing spoon that my friend bought me, this exact mixing spoon a few years ago when she went to Rhinebeck. Amy, who lives there, used it all the time, but I didn't condition it. I didn't have that, there's some beeswax you can buy, and I bought some this time around, so it's split. I still use it, but I wanted another one. So I got that. And then I also got this cute little cutting board, because sometimes you don't need a huge cutting board, you just need something little. So I thought this was really cute. And I thought he had good prices, I really did. Buttons. Bought some buttons. I love wooden buttons. I bought this at one of the sheepy woolly yarn places. I don't remember which one. And they just call them vintage buttons. And I bought so these little brown leather vintage buttons. Oh my goodness, that's actually leather at the back too. This is 100% leather. I don't know if you can see that, but this is a rather large leather button, and then the other ones are little mini buttons that look really cute on, I think it's called the Gramps cardigan. It's for little baby boys. I made that once, super cute. And I think, okay, let's move on to the last bit of yarn. So I'm going by a vendor, and they had a display set up of a shawl that I really, really liked. But when I looked at the actual pattern in the picture, and it's called Marie Antoinette, I would not have knit the shawl that I see in the picture for this, because it's just a little too frilly for my taste. The border is, but the sample didn't have as much frill. I think they took off the last border part. So here's the picture, but this is not what I was looking at. It's also on my Instagram photo feed. It's a red shawl with black trim, and it has the person who made the sample, their notes on how they changed it. So I bought from them these 2 colors to make mine. And it's called, this is their Afterglow Base by Bittersweet. Bittersweet is the company name. And they have www.bittersweetwoolery.com. Just like it sounds, nothing, no weird spellings. And it's hand-dyed lace yarn, 55% BFL and 45% silk. 875 yards in each of them. This is Rouge and this is Cinders. And the Cinders is exactly what they used in their sample. They used a red in their shawl, but this one is pink, which I'm not usually, I'm coming around more to pink more and more, but I'm not a true pink kind of girl. However, I cannot quit putting these 2 together. I know that's dark, but I really like it. It kind of just reminds me of like a midnight sky or something, a stormy midnight sky. I don't know, I'm really liking that. And so that might be my shawl. And I have to tell you, I don't think that oh goodness, there are gremlins in my camera. Whew. paused again on me, but we just started it back up. We're good. So as I was saying about the Marie Antoinette shawl, I'm pretty sure I'm not going to cast that on before Christmas, but I do want to cast it on shortly after, and it's charted. I've dabbled a little bit in charts, but not that much. And I really need to take that plunge. I want to do it. I'm excited to do it. And so we'll see how that goes. But that'll probably be at the beginning of the year. Also bought some beads to go with it. I don't know how well that'll show up with the plastic, but that goes with the shawl as well. And they're like a dark gunmetal gray. And I bought that at Bead Biz. Bead, just like it sounds, B-E-A-D, Biz, B-I-Z. And they have an Etsy shop as well. So there is that. All right, that is it for yarn and extras. Now we're going to move into works in progress. I only have one. I have not sort of knitted on socks, but not a whole lot of sock love. There's really not much new to show you there. However, my Rhinebeck sweater, we got to talk about this. So the week before Rhinebeck, I realized I misjudged my time, which I do quite a bit, really. I think that I have enough time to do something, and then when it comes down to it, I realize, uh-oh, misjudged. So I gave up a lot of sleep to knit on this, and like the week before, I think 4 days in a row, I'm staying up really late knitting on this sweater, sacrificing a lot of sleep. I mean, I have 3 children, ages 2, 9, and 13. I work outside of the home full time. And so I need sleep. Not a lot of it, but I do need some of it. And after day 4 of doing this, I was going to the scary place, and I I had to stop. Finally I realized, okay, Melissa, if you finish this cardigan, but you go to Rhinebeck as a zombie and don't enjoy, I mean, what good is that? What good is that? So 2 days before I was supposed to leave, I just kind of put the brakes on everything. I slowed down. I stopped. I slept. And I think once I did that, I kind of knit on and off and on. It kind of just, I took a step back. It is almost completely done. I mean, here it is. So it still needs, oh wait, that's the, there. Well, you were looking at the right part. Okay, here's the back of it. I still got ends to weave in, but it needs the collar. It needs just this little bitty portion of ribbing finished, and a bind off and a collar, and it's done. But I took it with me, and I knit on it in the airport and on the airplane. And so people would come up and say, oh, that's so, I really like what you're knitting, and what is it? And that day I was wearing a cardigan, kind of like an oversized woolly type of boyfriend cardigan, real squishy, soft, warm. I love it. But I didn't make it. And everybody would ask me, did you make the cardigan? Or did you make what you're wearing? And I felt guilty. I would be like, no, I'm knitting a cardigan, but I bought the one I'm wearing. And didn't have a Rhinebeck sweater. I didn't feel like, I felt a little less of a knitter at Rhinebeck, because I just didn't feel like I had enough hand knitted goodness. And it's completely ridiculous. Nobody was judging me. I did have some hand knit items, but yeah, I'm putting the guilt on myself, and I don't know why. Maybe, do you guys ever do that? You have the sweater I wore the next day. I bought it. I mean, I love the stuff I buy that's knitted. I wouldn't have bought it if I didn't think it was beautiful, but once again, I didn't knit it. So yeah, I felt a little embarrassed. I started a hashtag saying shameful knitter. I guess that's kind of what I felt like. But there it is, and I am going to try to make it a goal to get this finished next time we meet, because it's time. It's time. Matter of fact, I think I'm finishing that sleeve tonight. All right, so there's that. I can't even call it a Rhinebeck sweater, can I now? I don't know what I call it. It's a featherweight cardigan by Hannah Fettig, by the way. And I'm doing that as a knit along with Kristen of the Yarngasm podcast. She has a thread in her Ravelry group. All right. So, last but not least, let's talk about the spinning. I learned how to spin on Rhinebeck weekend. Saturday, as a matter of fact. I forgot that I gotta reach down. I have 2 little tables here, they were full. The spinning is on the ground, so. Oh, 1 second. I am getting a wave from my oldest son. All right, sorry about that. My oldest son is going to the movies and needed some money. So let me just go right back into spinning. I learned how to drop spindle on Saturday. I have wanted to learn how to spin, and one of the ladies in our group, Peg, hi Peg, taught me how to drop spindle. Thank you, Peg. Oh my gosh, I love it. 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 She knew Jonathan Bosworth and his wife. So she took me to his booth, and I promptly bought 2 spindles at the time, and then I think on Sunday I bought another one. I think that's how that went down. No, I bought 1 spindle on Saturday, 2 spindles on Sunday, so 3. Yeah, I overdid it. I kind of do that at Rhinebeck. Yeah, I do. So my first spindle that I bought was, he told me that since I'm just starting, he said the easiest, what you should be looking for is a drop spindle that weighs about 1 ounce. So my very first one weighed exactly 1 ounce, and it's made out of bird's eye maple. I love this spindle. Love it. This is my favorite one. The next 2 I bought, and so yeah, there's a little impulse shopping going on here because I bought 2 of the same. They're just 2 different sizes, and they're called his Picassos. So this was clearly a wider diameter, and this particular one is right around 1 ounce. This one is, I can't remember. I have a tag somewhere, but like 1.3, 1.4 ounces, something like that. But I have not knit with this one yet. But I have with this, and my battery is dying again. I am telling you, if you knew all the issues I had recording this, oh my goodness. All right, we're gonna keep on going, and hopefully I'll get it done. So let's see. I wanna show you what my spins look like. My very first spin looked exactly like I thought it would. Cat barf. But I'm still proud of it. So this is it. There's lots of, I think they call them slubs. But there are some parts, because I talked to Jonathan's wife the next day, and she showed me a lot of stuff and gave me a lot of tips that really helped. But there's some consistency in some of the parts. I mean, it's bad, don't get me wrong, but I saw some things here, and what I saw next was very encouraging. This is my second spin. Look at that. That was already noticeably better. And I'm totally keeping this. I'm keeping this as a memory forever and ever, and probably this one too. And this is my 3rd spin. Now, ignore this big fluff at the top, because my start is not so great. I wouldn't use that clearly. But look at this part. Huh? Yeah, it's getting there. It's getting there. I'm making yarn. I love it. I love it. I love it. Oh my gosh, I am just so excited. One of my friends said drop spindling is the gateway drug to wheel spinning. I certainly hope so. So let me show you the fiber I bought. I bought this stuff first. Look at this gorgeousness. This was from, I believe, Loop. Oh my goodness, look at that. It was just like a huge vat, and you pull it out, and it's got recycled sari and silk, and I don't know, all kinds of stuff in here. But I'm saving this until I can knit a little better, or spin a little better. I think it would be a huge tragedy to just spin that right now. And I went to Into the World and bought God's Wood BFL, because I found out, I don't know who told me at Rhinebeck, that you don't want slippery wool. And they even say merino isn't a good beginner's spinning fiber. You want something that's kind of a little rougher, like BFL, and someone said, I think Cormo, and I can't remember some other ones, but BFL stood out in my mind. And so I got this beautiful braid of Into the World. And that was what I spun with at first. And I did that on purpose too, because I just wanted to make sure that I really enjoyed the experience. I mean, even if it didn't go, I knew it wasn't gonna be perfect, but I wanted to make sure that I enjoyed it. So I wanted a good drop spindle, and I wanted some pretty fiber that just, you're still creating yarn, even if it's bad yarn, and it Okay, I am really sorry. This episode just does not want to be recorded, but I am going to persevere and keep going on. I juiced up the battery for just a couple minutes, so I've got a short amount of time. I did just do this ending a couple minutes ago and realized my mic wasn't on. So let's just zip through this and wrap it up because I want this posted, okay? So this was my Godsford colorway from Into the World BFL. And to me, this just looks like a bunch of, listen to me, that's such a creative way to describe something. Some red, purple, greens, blues, and it just looks like somebody blew smoke on them. I mean, I just love it. They're rich, they're deep, they're a little smoky colored. I really like spinning with this. This has been a lot of fun. And the reason I started spinning with this the first time was because I wanted the experience to be fun and good. And it was. I had colorful yarn, I had a great drop spindle, and that was my goal when I started, to have good fiber, or the right fiber, and a great drop spindle. And I believe I had those things, and it was an enjoyable experience. My battery is yelling at me. One other thing, this is Romney, which someone else told me this is a great beginner's wool. So there's that, just very natural, about 4 ounces of that from Fox Hill Farm, I believe. But I'm gonna wrap that up. And I just wanna say thank you for choosing to spend some time with me. And until we meet again, make something beautiful. Bye now.